Kabzi, today we're doing a video about side hustling. You ready?
What side hustling?
Let's tell him.
Alright Kabzi, this is how you do hustling. Logically therefore, this is side hustling. Oh, this one's a hustler! A side hustle is of course a job or entrepreneurial project that you do alongside your main job. For some people, it's doing another job on the side. For other people, it's doing wedding photography, or others sell stuff online. There's plenty of videos that you can find on YouTube that give you lots of ideas about the type of side hustles that you can get yourself into. But what I wanted to do in this video is share with you 5 amazing stories of real people that I know who have built their side hustles into 6 or 7-figure businesses. These are 5 ordinary people like you and I, but they worked hard and have achieved incredible things. In this video, they will be sharing with us their top tips and tricks, how they got their start, and where they are right now. If you're new to this channel, Islamic Finance Guru, or IFG for short, is a halal investment and personal finance platform where we analyze and review and compare all the latest and greatest investment products coming out of the Islamic finance world. Our mission is really simple. We want to help Muslims everywhere get wealthier and put their money to work. If that sounds like it's up your street, then please do like this video, please subscribe to our channel, and please do feel free to share this with your friends and family as well. If you'd like to chat with me or tens of thousands of like-minded others, then please do check out our Telegram groups and join the community. So Saeed is a top kid. He actually reached out to us when he was in his final year of uni to look for some mentorship and advice. And he said, oh, I've got a bit of a side hustle that I've got going on. So naturally we asked, okay, well, what is it? And what he told me, when I heard it, I nearly fell off my chair. You what? How much? Whoa. This kid, a migrant kid who's been in the UK less than a decade, has managed to set up this multi-6-figure business alongside his degree. So impressive.
Hello and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sayed and I run a digital consultancy firm called Undergrad Consulting, which means basically we create websites and apps and everything in between to help our clients connect to their audience in a digital manner that suits the 21st century consumer. I learned to program when I was around 13 years old and very quickly fell in love with the art of coding. At that time, I remember that some of my dad's friends told me that they wanted a website built for them, and I was very happy to do it for them for free. And as time went on, some people started paying me money, and it was pretty good, you know, a couple of £100 for a 13, 14-year-old was pretty good money. And that's really how it grew. I've worked with the NHS, I've worked in India with governments across the world, I've worked in places like Russia. I recently just graduated from King's College London, and during my school time I had to, of course, be very cautious of being able to get my homework in on time while also completing a multi-million-dollar project. Obviously the weekends were times when I would of course have to work, but another key time that I worked was during the summer. I spent almost all of my time working on websites and growing the business, opening up offices in India or hiring other people to get the business to grow and scale on its own. One of the key factors for me to grow effectively was to get someone to actually run part of that business for me. The actual web development, I didn't really oversee. I got someone else hired to do that for me. And I think that was a huge factor for scaling and growing. The way I reached out to bigger clients was through networking. As always, it's more about who you know than what you know. And by being able to build on my connections and try and create a network with individuals across different industries. The tips I would give to others starting out their side hustle would be, number 1, go for it. That's my biggest tip, because most people just don't go for it. Now, once you are going for it, I would highly advocate you to understand the intricacies of your business. I think a lot of people go into it looking for a quick buck, and that's not the aim of any kind of career, in my opinion. The third thing would be to understand, well, what do you want out of this? For some people, they want a business that can provide for the family. And so understanding where you're trying to go regarding your business's income is another key standpoint.
What impresses me so much about Saeed is firstly how humble he is and how open to learning he is, how determined he is to succeed and get things done. And also the fact that he's got such a growth mentality, right? He's scaled his business. It's an international business where you've got people in India and Europe, and he's working in England. To have that huge vision and execute it at such a young age is really very impressive. Ismail is a co-founder of a startup called Scoodle that has been backed by the likes of the co-founder of Twitter, Biz Stone, Google have backed it, and also this incredible angel syndicate called IFG.VC as well. Say mashallah, brother. Scoodle is like a LinkedIn for students and tutors where they connect with each other. It has served hundreds of thousands of people and raised millions of pounds. But it all started from very humble beginnings.
I started off tutoring, and it was very simple initially. I would just message friends and family saying like, hey, let them know that I can teach and I'm available. Because I had a specific goal in mind in terms of what I was trying to save up for, to pay for my studies, I didn't quite make enough from tutoring alone. So what I did was I asked my students to refer their friends, and if their friends said yes, both students would get a discount. It wasn't something that I intended to make into a big thing. It just happened organically, where the numbers got to a level where I couldn't really teach 10 kids in my house or in their houses. So I worked with university societies to try and host it in conjunction with them. It would help them raise some money. It would help me as well, and it was a pretty good relationship. I think by the end of it, we taught hundreds of students and reached dozens of universities actually, which is pretty cool. It often starts as a thing alongside something else that you're doing full time. In my case, it was initially my studies following on with my full time job. So I worked in marketing, and in the evenings and on weekends, we continued working a little bit with my friends who ended up being my co-founders. That organic build-up led to a point where we decided that, it's always going to be risky to go full time, but if this has any chance of making it, we have to give it our all. Myself and my friends quit our full time jobs in order to try and make Scoodle a scalable thing. It's a whole business. If you're looking to start a business, I say this so much, just start. My way of thinking about it is, what is, the bare minimum that you can do to exist in a week or in 2 weeks or in a month? You don't need to have tons of coders and engineers and write something so complex before you can show it out to the real world. You can think of a very simple version. The example that I gave was, if I was to start tutoring again, the way that I'd begin wouldn't be building a website and getting a team together. It would be getting a WhatsApp message broadcasted to everybody that I know, seeing how many people reply and how many people are actually interested. Because if I can end up getting 30 students, that's great. Now I can't handle all 30 myself. I've got a reason to try and find other tutors to work alongside me. That's ultimately the best way to start, because you learn real business problems that you're going to be facing way sooner than you would if you just spent tons of time on your business plan only. So the summary of my advice is just exist and figure things out after that.
What I find really impressive about Ismail is he's taken a thing that people do all the time at uni, tutoring, and he did that, but then he did that at such a scale that he paid off all his uni fees, and then he set up this massive multi-million pound business as well off the back of it. Really, really impressive. That kind of big vision, long distance stare is something that is truly rare and something that we should all try and cultivate within ourselves as well. Mahmoud is, strictly speaking, not running a side business. What he did though was he learned something as a side hustle and then pivoted into a much more lucrative and more enjoyable career. And the career was that of a software engineer. And to give you a sense of the kind of numbers that we're talking, senior software engineers, their salaries are 100k plus, and they go all the way up to sometimes even £1 million for the best of them.
Hi everyone, My name is Mahmoud and I am a software engineer. So how I got here, about 7-8 years ago, I started coding. I was working for a charity at the time. A very close friend of mine kept telling me to get into coding. Yeah, Mahmoud, start coding. I mean, this is where the future's at. It pays very well, it's flexible hours, so it's not really demanding on your life as a lot of other jobs. So I picked it up, started doing some coding after work, some on the weekend, wherever I could really find time for it. And as the months progressed, I started getting better and better at it until I finally thought, okay, yeah, I can really go far with this. And for me, the turning point was leaving my job at the time. It was sort of my safety net, and I kept feeling like it was holding me back from really taking programming that step further. So I thought, you know what, I need to leave this job, I need to get rid of that safety net and just go out there into the wild. And that's what I done. I remember it was a December. At the time I created a game just to show off in job interviews, and it went better than I could have imagined. Within the first week of applying, I think I had 3 job offers, and for me I was quite taken aback as to the demand and how much jobs there were on the market. That was the turning point for me, leaving my job and sort of dedicating myself to it full time with no commitments. Having other commitments didn't really let me focus my energy on it 100%. I'll say for me, it was getting rid of that safety net to do this now. And because I believed in it, I felt like I could leave my job. So I think piece of advice, if you really do believe in something and you think it will be successful, you need to give it 100%. You can't do it as a side thing. You can still, but I don't think it will reach the heights you'd like it to if you gave it your full commitment. Let go of any other commitments holding you back. And if you really do believe in something, you just need to give it 100%. There's no other way about it.
What I find really inspirational about Mahmoud's story is how he had this go-getter attitude to do something alongside his day job so that he could pivot his career. How he learned entirely for free of things on the internet like YouTube. And then he showed this go-getter and brave attitude to actually take the plunge and really pivot his career. Joe is a co-founder of Landscape, a startup that we have been lucky to invest in alongside some of the biggest names in venture capital in Europe today. Landscape is a bit like the Glassdoor, but for venture capital. Because the thing is, with venture capital, you pitch to VCs, but not all VCs treat you nice, and not all VCs are particularly pleasant, and sometimes they have their own particular quirks and foibles. And for the first time, Landscape allows founders to be able to access that information and see reviews of VCs, genuine reviews about how they treat startups. The whole idea started because Joe wanted to do this as a community service. He had experienced himself some encounters with VCs that weren't necessarily ideal, and he wanted to be able to have a product or a platform to warn and guide other people if they came across similar VCs in their own journeys. And so he did this, and he put it out there, and the whole thing just exploded. People found it really, really useful. One thing led to another, and they raised hundreds of thousands of pounds, and now Joe is working on creating the next important venture capital business in Europe.
You're probably going to have so many ideas, and so I think the best thing to do is just figure out how you can validate them quickly and how you can start writing some of them off. So before Landscape, I'd probably tested, maybe like 10 other micro ideas and just thinking like, how would this work? How would I go to market? How does it make money? All this sort of stuff. And, when you take the approach of like, I guess, looking for reasons to rule out your side hustles, then it becomes quite a lot easier. Otherwise, you can end up, just like any kind of side hustle or startup, you can end up spending quite a lot of time on something that potentially isn't going to go anywhere. So I think second bit of advice would be just find a way to get a product out. And I'm a massive advocate and lover of no code, just because I think it's absolutely perfect for, these types of founders, entrepreneurs who want to run side hustles, you can get a product out without a technical team these days. You can learn Webflow, Zapier, all sorts of no-code tools can help you kind of get something out. So I guess first bit of advice: look for reasons to kind of not validate your idea, I guess, and move on to the next one if it's not going to work. And second, learn some no-code, get a product out, and just push something out there.
What really inspired me about Joe's story is the community-spirited start that it had and solving a real problem that the venture community has, the startup founder community has. In a way, the community-spirited origins are like the IFG origins as well, but I'll leave that story for another time. Haja is a stay-at-home mom who, alongside raising 2 young kids, has built a 7-figure Amazon business working from home, from scratch over the last 4 years.
My side hustle is an e-commerce business and I sell on Amazon. So the way that I got into it was after university, I'd finished my bachelor's and I was thinking whether I was going to go into a master's and how I would like to proceed. And at that time, one of my husband's family members, he'd bought an Amazon course. My husband suggested to me that why don't you take a look into this and see how it goes. And that's essentially how I got into selling on e-commerce and selling on Amazon specifically. When I started, I had a lot more time to fit in things because I had a lot less commitments. It was back in 2017. And now as time has gone on, I've got children and a lot more commitments as well. So the way that it's changed in terms of how I do things is definitely prioritization, what I feel the business needs at the time and doing that first rather than doing what I feel like doing, and then fitting in family and household, etc., all that around it, and having more of a routine as well helps a lot. When we stopped breaking even and we actually started making profit, and after that we started growing organically. The turning point I think for us was became part of an Amazon mastermind group, and within that we got a really good idea of the mindset that you need with business, and especially business whilst you're selling on Amazon, and how you should approach it and how you should work with it. And from after that time, we decided that we wanted to look at this as more of a business and not a side hustle, but more of like a full-time business that we work on. We are looking at other sales channels, so other channels of Amazon like Shopify and retail chain stores. Also, another aspect that the way that we're scaling it is building a lot more our product range. So the first tip that I would give is dua. And this is something that goes without saying, but it's incredibly helpful, especially, I can remember when I first started at Amazon, everything was incredibly new to me. And sometimes, emails pop up and you're just it makes you really stressed and you don't know where to start, even with dealing with it. So the dua really, really helps in that moment. Another thing is consistency. Consistency is incredibly important. So whatever side hustle you start, do something for it daily. And as time goes on, it will grow into something, inshallah. Very, very important tip is know why you're doing it. Why are you doing your side hustle? What are you aiming to achieve out of it? Who are you doing it for? What's your purpose behind it? Your why needs to be very, very strong. The world is constantly changing. Things are evolving, and it's not stagnant. So if you're not part of a system, then it's very easy to fall behind. But when you're part of a system, it's a lot more easy to stay up to date, and you feel a lot more. You can act a lot more quicker. You can implement the knowledge that you're learning, the current up-to-date knowledge, and it's a lot more effective for your business as well.
What inspires me about Haja is that she comes from an unconventional background, right? She studied at the Darul Uloom, she wears a niqab, and she is forging a path that others from her background have not really trodden before. And that she's managed to do that without having any guidance or previous examples to follow, I think is something that we can all learn from as well. Oh, and by the way, Haja is my sister, and I'm very proud of her. Well done, Haja. So there we are, folks. 5 incredibly inspirational individuals who have taught us about their drive, their determination, their focus, their tenacity, the hard work, the commercial instinct, and above all, the sincere intentions that they all have when it comes to their side hustles. So if you're doing a side hustle right now, I salute you and I see you. And it might be that no one's heard of you right now and that you're not necessarily having all the success that you need. But I promise you this, if you're bright about it, you look at the data and you stick at it, that's the crucial thing, and you're consistent, you will see results and you will achieve something, inshallah, over the next few years. But it's a long-term game. And if you're looking to get going on a side hustle, then my advice to you is really simple. Don't overthink on the idea, just pick one that kind of makes sense and then get started and then stick at it for a long time. I promise you, you will get somewhere. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.